Hello everybody. I just want to make this video and talk about some things. There's a couple things that I want to talk about, all revolving around the same thing of basically I want to find stuff cool that I used to think was cringe or like pretentious or something. Or like I was self-hating about. Like, for example, I'm going back and I'm listening to like Living Tombstone and like FNAF songs, and oh my gosh, they're so cool, man. I'm watching Has Been Hotel, which is something like I think I would have found so cringe, like back in the day. Like I would think like, oh my god, like it's because it's like the fan base or like they want to be deep or something, but I feel like I'm watching Has Been Hotel. It's an amazing show. I'm a big fan of it. But this is not something that I would have found cringe years ago, and I still find kind of cringe when I'm watching it, but it's more so like a thing of like, dang, I'm allowing myself to have fun and grow and like things, you know. But the FNAF and Living Tombstone stuff is different a little bit because I used to be such a big fan of FNAF, but then some things happened, some trauma or whatever, and then I all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but I started to find those things very cringe and I started to hate myself so much for liking Living Tombstone and liking FNAF songs and liking FNAF in general, Five Nights at Freddy's. And lately I've just been going back to it and just being like, dang, no, these things are cool. These things are genuine, and these things are, I don't want to, and I shouldn't feel shame over liking things, you know? And this is something that I just thought about. I was watching like David Cho talk about how like he went to Africa and he taught like some African kids how to paint, and then he showed and he said like the paintings were amazing, and he showed when the African parents came back, because they were out hunting, like when the African adults came back, he showed them the paintings and they were like, huh, that's pretty cool, and then they threw him off a cliff, and David Cho was like, what are you doing? And David Cho said it was because they just live in the present so much, so they were like, oh, that's cool, you know. They weren't being like judgmental, they were like, huh. And David Cho was like, said, yeah, so I spent all this time articulately, you know, doing a painting, and then I just threw it off a cliff. And I was like, oh. And I felt like he kind of felt like he sounded pretentious in that moment. And I kind of felt like he was sounding a little bit like, oh, like rich guy, pretentious. And so he kind of chuckled to himself. So he kind of chuckled to himself because he was like being, or like he felt like he was being a silly, pretentious rich guy or something. And I thought about it, and it's like, first of all, that's beautiful what he just said. And that whole thing is beautiful. And I have a lot of judgment against that, like that way of thinking of like, oh my god, that's so beautiful. Like looking at a museum, and I think I get that a lot from my brother, because my brother was very much like that. My brother was very much like, oh my god, that's so beautiful. Oh my god. And he would always show me stuff like, oh my god, look at this thing that's so beautiful, and you wouldn't get it, but like, look at this like artwork, and you know, this shows like how slavery was like, you know. And I really, especially because my brother is like such a pretentious asshole, and like just like, you know, trying to be better than me and trying to just like a gigantic control freak. And he's like, oh my god, it's so beautiful, you know. And he's just so controlling. And some of the things he showed me, like there's this one thing that he showed me. It was like out of a Wi-Fi. It was like he made one of his friends made like a Wi-Fi symbol out of like like what, like cocaine or like powder or something, and he was like, "Oh my God, Liam, like, look at this, like this is so deep, you know, it's like a Wi-Fi symbol out of like cocaine." And I was like, and I just when he showed me, I don't know how old I think it was like I was young, and I was like, that is so freaking cringe, because it's like, but I realize that like that's not cringe. Like that, like he showed me the Wi-Fi symbol and he's like, "Oh my God, that's so deep, you know. Oh my God, it's so deep. Oh, it's so deep." It's not what he showed me. The Wi-Fi symbol with like the made out of cocaine is is not cringe. That's not like, "Oh, I'm 14 and this is deep." That's a cool piece of art. And I don't, and I was hating on the art. I was hating on like the whole thing of like, "Oh, that's not deep. Like, stop being pretentious." Like in my mind, that's what I thought, because I just had so much anger towards it, and I was like, it's not, you know. But the thing is, the thing that I've realized is that, and so I'm something I'm really proud of myself for, is separating the pretentious douchebaggery of my brother and just the complete, I don't want to, he's not like, everyone's a good person deep down. He's not a terrible, he's not a 100% bad person. He's not a 100% malicious person, 100% control. Well, but he's not 100% controlling. But separating the douchebaggery, like just like stereotypical millennial, like, "Oh my God, it's so deep" type thing, from my brother, like separating that, and then just actually looking at like something that I know he would be like, "Oh my God." And but just like, I want to, because look, I want to separate the trauma and the anger and the hate I feel towards that douchebaggery type thing and controlling and all that stuff that my brother has, and I just want to look at the artwork and look at like the things that he would find like poetic or something, or look at the things like that. And I think I'm at a point where I can look at stuff like that and I can be like, you know what, that is cool. That's very cool. And it's okay to be passionate, and it's okay to be like really cool and really like, "Oh my God, that's so deep." And it's okay to read into it and be like, "Oh my God," and obsess over it and be like, "Oh my God, this is amazing." But it's not cool to use that in a way to like be smarter than somebody else. It's not okay to use that as a way to be better than somebody else, or use that as a way of like, I get it and you don't. And I feel like that's what he did with me growing up, or at least that's how I felt. But I just feel like separating the art and separating that stuff from how I guess I feel like it was weaponized against me. That's just something I'm proud of. Like I feel like I can look at stuff like that and be much more just like, "Oh, that's really cool. That's a really cool piece of art. That's a really cool piece of like symbolism, rebellion, or whatever." And yeah, just separate my brother's douchebaggery and trauma that I have from that, from like a piece of artwork or like a piece of thing that I used to find cringe, but now I'm like, no, that's pretty cool. You know, I don't know. I kind of just came to this realization. It's not like it's not like I just like am starting to realize things are cool and like, but I'm just came to the realization that like I'm separating, and I don't have it all figured out. I'm not sure about anything in this life, but I'm separating my brother's douchebaggery from like the art that he would be a douchebag about. And it's like, yeah, the art is cool. The art is cool, you know? That thing is cool. So yeah. I guess that's just kind of some thoughts that I have right now. Okay. May you have an amazing life, death, and afterlife. May my brother have an amazing life, death, and afterlife. Feel of peace, love, joy, serenity, clarity, openness, happiness, soulfulness, godliness, cleanliness, healthiness, purity, good energy, positive energy, everything good, love. Amen. 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 By the way, my brother has OCD. I think undiagnosed OCD. And I feel like I also have OCD, or like OCD traits. One of the traits I have is kind of like where I have to, or I don't have to, but where like I'm like, peace, love, joy, serenity, clarity, openness, happiness, soulfulness, godliness, cleanliness, healthiness, purity, good energy, positive energy, everything good, and all my love. Like I kept adding on to that, and I finally got it to a point where like peace, love, joy, serenity, clarity, openness, happiness, soulfulness, godliness, cleanliness, healthiness, purity, good energy, positive energy, everything good, and all my love. I think I say purity twice. Peace, love, joy, serenity, clarity, openness, happiness, soulfulness, godliness, cleanliness, healthiness, purity, good energy, positive energy, everything good, and all my love. No, I only say purity once. I think I used to say it twice in that whole prayer. But the OCD thing more so is that whenever I pray, like whenever I end a prayer, I have to be like, first of all, I kiss my hands, amen. And I lift my hands up, amen. And then I have to lift them up again, amen. Amen. Like I have to lift them up the second time higher than I did the first time, or like the prayer doesn't count, or like I didn't give enough energy to the prayer so therefore the prayer didn't work out, or like the prayer didn't, I didn't sacrifice enough, or something like, or I didn't put enough energy into it. So, and it gets to the point where like I literally am like I pray, and then I gotta jump up and like touch the ceiling, because then I'm like, if I don't touch the ceiling, then like the prayer doesn't really count, or it wouldn't count as much, Anyways, yeah, that just might be some OCD that I have. I'm gonna spill some coffee, so I'm gonna clean it up with some dirty underwear. Okay. Anyways, yeah, love you, Tynan, love you, everybody. May you have an amazing life, death, and afterlife with peace, love, joy, strength, clarity, openness, happiness, soulfulness, godliness, cleanliness, healthiness, purity, good energy, positive energy, everything good. Amen. 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 Love you, kings, queens, jokers, and jacks. Bye-bye.